Well, after yesterday's show, I sat and watched the telly most of the night, actually. A thing I'm trying to get out of the way of doing, but it's just the only thing that stops me every now and again. And today I've got to, it's a travel day, as they've become very known in our world. I've got to go down to Oxford because Steel Eye's recording an album. So I have to do some vocals today, so I've got to go round via the doctors and down to Penrith and then back up to Carlisle, so it's a bit of a sort of drive this morning, but I quite like drives because I listen to tapes that are reflective and ground me quite well. So we're off on a little trot. It's very quiet here at the moment, which is nice, so I shall try and take that quietness with me. Well, it's the middle of the night in Oxford, back down in Oxford. I had a really good train journey where I met someone and chatted to them for most of the way down. We sat for a couple of hours and then got talking. It was quite interesting how sometimes you dive into a conversation with somebody and get on really well with them. I'm not very good at sort of chit-chat, sort of conversations, but I really like a good conversation where you dive straight in, and we did, and it was really, really nice. And it's probably someone I shall stay friends with. And it's interesting the way people come into your life out of nowhere, and I find that these days I'll suddenly get talking to someone and they seem to be on your wavelength quite quickly, and you're just on the same wavelength, and so you get a new friend, which is lovely. And so I'm back recording. It's the middle of the night, doing making Steel Eye album. This is, and we had a listen through to it last night. There's some lovely stuff. It's going to be really nice. Yeah, so that's the next couple of days we're going to be recording. Well, back home again in the wonderful north. It's a strange thing, me really doing this diary, because I'm actually quite a private person and I don't give a great deal away, I don't think. I hadn't thought of myself like that, but people tell me I'm a bit that way. And my father was a great one for not giving anything out. Didn't want people to know if he was ill or anything like that, and he used to tell us never to let anyone know if you're ill, especially in the professional world. I've never quite understood why, but I have rather taken it on board and tend to be a bit that way myself. And so doing this diary means I have to reveal perhaps parts of myself that I probably wouldn't otherwise. One of them being that I have a form of skin cancer. Well, it's going to become painfully obvious any minute now, because I've got to have an operation on my nose. Not very good, really, having an operation on your nose. It's a bit as plain as the nose on your face. And they've got to take quite a sort of lump out of it. And while I've always wanted a smaller nose, this wasn't quite what I had in mind. So, and if you kind of go the Jungian way, which is quite often about words that we use about a problem that you have, and so of course nosy, doesn't sound very complimentary, and while I have an element of sticking my nose into other people's business, it's not a thing that I would say is a big problem for me. I do I do take an interest in other people's stuff, but in fact, if anything, I would say that a bit like the Parsifal story, where when Parsifal first went to the Grail Castle, he didn't ask the question. It was a question he was supposed to ask, and he didn't ask it. And I don't think it's quite said why he didn't ask it. It was because he was embarrassed or forgot or felt it was rude. And I can kind of relate to that, because I think that's what I do. I tend not to ask the questions. Quite often people say things and I sit there and go, oh, I wonder why that, or I wonder what they mean by that, but I don't ask it. And I know by experience that people, generally speaking, quite like to talk about themselves. I mean, sometimes I don't, because I get into strange conversations that tend to be rather repetitive and I don't actually want to go there. So I think that I don't ask the question. Parsifal then went off and did all his life work, as it were, slaying dragons, rescuing maidens, whatever, and then came back to the castle. And then he did ask the question, whom does the Grail serve, was the question. And maybe it's that one needs to be nosy more than I am. Maybe one needs to be more curious than I am, that it's necessary to be curious and find out about things and look into them. And maybe that's what I need to do a bit more. I'm not that curious about things, actually. Anyway.